This video is for Higher Graphic Communication assignment for 2023, the menu, salt and pepper holder. In this video, we are going to look at creating the salt and pepper top. The first thing we're going to do is look at creating the kind of overall shape before going in and slicing off the kind of angled section that we've got at the top. So looking at the section AA, we can see that we have an overall height of 47. And in the pictorial view, it says that we have a radius of 17. Now to get this kind of angle, we're going to need to set our line to 165 degrees. So to start off with, we're going to open up Inventor. We are going to go to File, New, and make sure we have selected metric and that we have a standard millimetre part. And then we're going to start a 2D sketch on the XY plane. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the rectangle tool to create a rectangle which is 17 wide and 30 tall, like so. And then I'm going to use my line tool to go down from that rectangle an additional 17. Now where the bottom right hand corner is where we are going to look at getting our angle at 165 degrees. So we want to make sure that it is 165 degrees from this point all the way down. So from this point, I want to use my line tool, and we're going to, first of all, change. So I'm going to select the bottom right, and I'm going to change my angle to 75 degrees. And then I want to take that down until the kind of dotted lines show that I am hitting where that 17 line is, so that I can then just join them up together. Now the reason why it's 75 is that Inventor is taking it from this axis line here. But if I do use the dimension tool and I select both, we can see that the angle from this line to this line is 165. So you just need to be mindful of where Inventor is taking your angle from and adjust it should you need to. Once we've done that, we're going to finish the sketch. And we're going to click revolve, and we're going to select both sections, and then we're going to change our axis so it goes around the kind of middle axis, and then press OK, like so. Next, we're going to look at creating the kind of cutout shape that we need for the top. So the first thing we're going to do is find a center plane. So I'm going to open up my origin folder and find a plane that runs down the middle and turn that on. I'm then going to start a sketch on that plane, and then I'm going to press F7 on my keyboard so that I can see halfway through it. And we can see that this cutout is 5 up, and that it's a 45 degree angle from this point. So I'm going to go to my line tool. I'm going to select where the angle meets the kind of rectangle, and I'm going to select that, and I'm going to go up 5. And now we want to have a sloped angle. Now again, Inventor is going to take it from a different point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press tab, and I'm going to change my angle to 135, and then press tab again, and I'm going to go until I hit the top. So I've got 135 angle, and then once I've done that, I'm just going to join up this triangle. So I'm going to go along to the edge and then back down. So I've created a kind of triangle in the top corner. Once I've done that, I'm just going to finish the sketch, press extrude. I want to extrude in both directions, and I want to make sure that it goes all the way through and that it has been set to extrude subtract. And then I'm going to press OK. And you can see now I've got the kind of angled slope on it. Now again, if we look at the drawing, you can see here that it has a radius of 10 of a fillet. So I'm going to click fillet, change it to 10 and select that top line like so. Now we're going to look at shelling the object. Now we need to shell at this point because if we look at the drawing, in particular these semicircles that have been repeated around the edge, we can see that the hidden detail does not follow that shape. Instead, it just follows the kind of original shape that we have done. So it means that we have to shell now before we put in these semicircles. So I'm going to look at pressing shell. I'm going to change the distance to 3.5 and I'm going to select the bottom surface so that that removes that face. Once I've done that, I'm just going to look at turning off the visibility of that plane just to make it a little bit easier to see. And now we're going to look at creating those semicircles at the bottom that have been repeated throughout. So I'm going to look at this side from the bottom, like so. I'm going to start a sketch on the bottom face, and I'm going to use the circle tool, and we can see that it's got a radius of 2.5, so I'm going to draw a circle at 5 from the edge. And I just want to make sure that from the front there will be a circle. Yep. Once we've done that, we're going to finish the sketch. We're going to extrude our circle. I'm going to change the direction and make sure that it's set to extrude subtract, like so. And now we're going to use radial array to repeat that throughout. So if we have a look, we can see that it has been repeated 6 times. So I'm going to go to radial array, so under the pattern, I'm going to select my semicircle. I'm going to change the rotational axis to the bigger one and make sure that it's set to 6. So that we now have this being repeated throughout. The last thing we want to do is create these rectangles that are on the top where the salt and pepper would come out of. So what we're going to do is we're looking to create a plane that is kind of above the surface so that we can draw the rectangles on and then extrude subtract them down. So what I'm going to do is find a plane that is running along it. So in this case, it's going to be the XZ plane. So you can see it's running along like a tabletop. And then I'm going to offset the plane so that it is above my object. So I'm just going to offset it maybe 35, like so. I'm then going to start a sketch on that new plane and we're going to look at drawing the rectangles. So if we look at it, we can see that there's a rectangle bang in the middle of the circle. The rectangles are 1 by 20. They have a spacing of 1 between them and it's repeated 9 times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my rectangle, but this time I'm going to use the 2-point center rectangle. I'm going to click the middle and I'm going to make sure that it is 1 by 20, like so. Now we want to make sure that these rectangles have a distance of 1 between them and that overall it is still like from that middle. So we were looking for this side and then for that side. And to create the rectangles, you can either repeat or you can mirror or you can use linear array. Once you have your rectangles, we're going to look at extruding them or extrude subtracting them down. And we're wanting them to go all the way through. So I'm going to change the direction and I'm going to just make sure that they cut through and that they are set to extrude subtract. And they should cut all the way through the top part of the salt and pepper top, like so. Once we've done that, we have 2 holes that are either side of the salt and pepper top, and they're just there so that the pins of the salt and pepper bottom can fit into them. So these holes have a radius of 1.5 and they go all the way through. So I'm going to find a plane that runs down the middle. I'm going to start a sketch on that plane. I'm going to press F7 and draw my circle at 3. And we can see from the drawing that it's 5 up from the bottom. So I'm going to do dimension from the bottom to the middle and make that 5. And then I'm going to finish the sketch. And I'm going to extrude both directions and make sure it's set to extrude cut. And once that's done, we can turn off the visibility of our plane. And that is the salt and pepper top completed.